Thank you. Everybody say love. Everybody say love. Now drive that down, Stacy Lane. I love it. We always talk about love here because that's what this is all about. We talk about love and loving yourself, and that's what I'm going to actually talk about tonight. But before we get to loving yourself and how to love yourself, we always talk about love yourself, love yourself. But there's a lot of young people here who need to know how to do it, and we're going to go through that tonight. But before we get to that, I have a little announcement to make. Oh my goodness, all the stars are here. Oh my goodness, all the stars are here. I'm going to be naming names tonight too. Yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. Before we get to the 1, 2, 3s of how to love yourself, I have a big announcement to make. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing it here first. Okay? You ready? On September 30th and October 1st, RuPaul's DragCon is moving to New York City. Yes, that's right. We will continue to do Los Angeles, but we will also include New York City. Yes. We're so excited about this because, as you know, as you've seen this whole weekend, DragCon is all about you, and it's all about young people. It's about showing young people how to live their lives and to not worry about the life that is ahead of them. By example, really, not to worry about being judged by other people, which happens, which is okay. But by seeing all of you, you courageous, gorgeous people, they get the example of what life holds for them, which is beautiful. Because as I look out on this audience right now, I see how absolutely gorgeous each and every one of you is looking right back at me. You are beautiful. And I saw a lot of you today. I'm looking at Miss Wisconsin right there. What's your name, Wisconsin? What is it? Emily. Emily could barely, she was crying the whole time, by the way. But, you know, she didn't have to say anything. I could feel it. You don't even have to speak the same language. I could feel the love. And that is the communication that's what we're working with here at DragCon. So, September 30th, October 1st, get your tickets now. If you have to take a Greyhound bus, you better start now, right? It's true. I love it. Now, I want to talk about the journey to this DragCon. You know, this is years and years in the making. It is an epic adventure, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I think you all know my story with starting out in clubs in Atlanta, Georgia, and then moving up to New York, and then out here, and all of the trials and tribulations. I've written about them. I've exploited them. I will continue to exploit them. I will use them. They are my currency. I own them. And the same is true for all of you. Now, I say love yourself all the time, but how do you do that? What are the 1, 2, 3 steps? Now, I'm going to try to cover some of that stuff right now. And listen, I got to tell you, I'm no expert. It's an ongoing process for me, too. It's an ongoing process. But somehow, in all of these years, I've been able to clear out some of the blockage. It's like a big high colonic, you know. Raise your hand if you've had a high colonic. All right, Miss Frida. Hey, Big Frida. Big Frida, she's not ashamed of backing that ass up. Big Frida was the first one to say, I had one. I'm having one right now. It's what I say. Raven, have you had a high colonic? A couple of times. Yeah. Yeah. And there is. You're having one right now. Exactly. Yes. Well, think of that. The idea of clearing out all of that blockage in your life. And the reason I'm standing here today, I'm a living witness. The reason I'm standing here today is because I was able to clear out the blockage, because as creative as we are creative on the other side of it, in the negative sense of it, right? So we're creative here with all the beauty and the colors and the joy. Your saboteur has all that creativity too, and can trick you and make you believe that you aren't worth your value, which is what I'm seeing right now, which is pure love and gorgeousness, okay? So how do you unblock that stuff? First, you have to identify it. First, you have to know when it's happening. So I like to think of myself as a machine, as a human machine, just like any machine. It's in your kitchen or wherever, your automobile, whatever. Does anybody say automobile? I think that's just old age. Well, I have put a lot of miles on my vehicle. But looking at yourself objectively, as if you were a machine, understanding the proclivities, sometimes the wheel likes to turn a little bit to the left, or, when it's raining, I think it's going to rain here, son. There's a storm a-brewing. You use your body that way. So I want you to take that concept and apply it to every aspect of your life. Okay, what I'm talking about, I'm going to get a little personal here. It's okay. We're family, Years and years of therapy. It's going to be deep when I get into the therapy thing. I have this thing, years of therapy, the major breakthrough, it would always land on this one episode in my life. This one episode in my life where all roads would lead to that moment. And because of that, and I'm going to tell you what it is too, but because of that moment, I created an identity for myself based on one little moment in my life. And that moment comes up all the time in everything I do. And it's like a tail that I have to shave off every day. It grows back every day, and I have to remind myself, Ru, you are not that. You are bigger than that. That was a lie. That episode, that wasn't really real. It didn't even happen that way. But somehow I based an existence on this episode. And I know Christine W. knows what I'm talking about, don't you, girl? So let me tell you what this is. Okay, I'm going to get personal. My sisters are right here. They know the story. And if I get a little choked up, it's because that thing, it's still there. But it's important to this story, to what I need to tell you. Okay. When I was a kid, my mother and father broke up and they had a divorce, and my father would have weekends with the kids to come pick us up. And we would, me and Rozzy, that's Rozzy right there, we would sit on that porch and he would not show up. He would not, you beautiful kids, we were the most beautiful children you ever want to see. We really were. Gorgeous. All of my roads through therapy and finding out what's the deal led to that moment right there. It's interesting how I have recreated that victimhood throughout my life. Somehow I've even recreated situations and love line storylines to recreate that same situation, because somehow I have found an identity built on the little boy who was left behind. So anytime something comes up, that same hurt, that wound, which is never healed, it's always tender, it hurts so bad. So through therapy, I learned what it was, identified it, and I identified when similar situations were coming up to where I'm going to go a little more even personal. For years, before I met George, I would be attracted to men who I had to chase, who, like my father, were so charming and lovely, and I just loved him so much, but couldn't be there, if you know what I'm saying. Couldn't be there in a real way. In adulthood, I would create those same situations. I would only be attracted to those kind of people. It's funny thing is, when I met George, he chased me, and I was not interested. I said, you're a little too young for me, and He's only 12 years younger than me. You know, that's nothing. That's nothing. It's really nothing, not these days. And I remember it occurred to me, he says, you know what, Ru, what if you were able to, first I recognized what was happening, I recognized the trend that I had always done, and where it led, it was the same storyline each time. It was like playing the role of Ru's father tonight is, you know, it's the exact same period. And when it was happening, I didn't realize it. It was like, oh. But when all of a sudden the mask would come off and you're like, oh my friggin' Christ. It's crazy, right? So when I met George, I realized I'm always chasing. Here's someone chasing me. Let's see what that would be like. That was 23 years ago. You believe that? You know what I mean? 23 years ago. And I's married now. Yes, I know you're looking here. I'm wearing a ring. It's just not on my finger. I'm trying to see if there are kids in here. I'm sure there are children in here. I'm not gonna, none of the blue stuff tonight. But, you know, recognizing these trends, these patterns, these mental habits, it's like a gift over and over, you know, and I would recreate them. So I want to get into this idea of yourself as a machine, as a human machine, the proclivities, and then the identities built up and strengthened by situations that we create or that may have happened in the past. And I told this story before. You know, we all come, World of Wonder kids, we all come from the East Village. We started out in nightclubs and all that kind of stuff years and years ago. And as we became more successful, we would try to bring people uptown with us to the writer's table or in the creative department because we were making things happen. The funny thing about that is that a lot of the children who we came up with, we'd extend the hand to come with us. They could not do it. They couldn't do it because they had built an identity for themselves as a victim, as a starving artist, whatever it is. They see the perspective of themselves was limited. They could not see what we could see looking at them. And even no matter how you could say, I love you, you're beautiful, take my hand, all you got to do is take my hand. They couldn't do it. And it's an interesting thing. And this is where I need you to think about your own journey and ask yourself, where am I doing that exact same thing? Where am I perpetuating this idea of myself as a victim, as a loser, as whatever your gig is? We all have them. How can you take that and let it go? Part two to that, once you identify what it is, you have to identify what the payoff is. Judge Judy says every week, she says, follow the money. You have to follow what the payoff is. Where are you getting paid in your consciousness to continue this story? Because humans do nothing without a payoff. Everything you do, looking at yourself as human machine, remember, human machine, everything that human machine does has to have a payoff. I perpetuated my story because I got a payoff, and the payoff was this. I felt the world had dealt me a bum hand, a rotten egg. So that justified and allowed me to say, you know what, world? F word you. You know what, world? You know what? I don't have to follow the rules. You know why? Because I was dealt a bum hand, and that gives me the right to say, you know what? I ain't studying you. I do not care. And I could be as punk rock and as anti-establishment, but you can turn that around, because with this world, there's positive and negative and yin yang, all that. Put your focus on the positive. Yes, life is hard. I'm going to tell all you kids listening right now, it's no easy journey. It's hard. And the road that took me to this stage that you see me on today was hard. It's hard. It's hurtful. It's nasty. Everything you can imagine, I've been through it. But if you focus on what's good, what Michelle say? What's good? That was Nicki Minaj. That's right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You put your focus there, and that is what brought me here today. And that is the part of loving yourself that I wanted to get into. How do you do it on a daily basis? When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to tell you, actually, when I quit smoking cigarettes in 2004, and crack, by the way, too. I cut out the crack. In 2004, for some reason, I would go to bed at 9 o'clock, and then I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And to this day, I have been doing that every day since. I don't know what changed. Well, I do. We know what changed. We know what changed. It was the crack cocaine. And you kids out there, listen, I did not do crack cocaine. I was on heroin is what I was doing. No, it just changed. It changed. So what I meant to say is, when I wake up in the morning, first thing I do, I stretch. I'm old, I stretch. It's just part of the machine. The machine needs to be stretched out. That came out wrong, didn't it? The second thing I do while I'm down there, and I got to tell you, who are you people? You are nasty. I'm not a religious person. I don't need to know what that thing is, the source. I just need to know it is there. I don't need to know what it is, how it is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I know that it is there. I get down on my knees. I pray. I pray every single morning. And let me tell you what my prayer is. It's very simple. The act of prayer is very powerful, and I'll tell you why. First, let me tell you what it is. I say, Dear God, for lack of a better word, you could use whatever you want. Dear God, I ask that you, thank you. Dear God, thank you. And then I say, God, please guide my thoughts, my feelings, and my perceptions. And in the past 2 years, I've added this to it. I say, I willingly give you all of my resentments. I willingly give them to you. Whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Then I go into my meditation. But let me just back up a little. The act of prayer, what it does, the act of prayer is a way, your human machine, is a way to decode the machine. It's a way to rig the system. The machine that we are in has a built-in blind spot where you cannot see yourself. It's very difficult for you to look into your own eyes with your eyes. You follow me? The machine does not allow you to touch the tip of this finger with this finger. You see? It has these built-in blind spots. And these spiritual practices allow you to circumvent and N-word rig the system, if you will. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's how you learn to love yourself. So the act of prayer, getting down on your knees and deactivating that ego. Listen, there's good points to the ego. There's bad points. If you don't have a balance, you're out of sync. The act of prayer allows me to circumvent the ego. And the ego is completely silent. When I am bowing down and acknowledging there's a presence greater than myself, doesn't matter what it is, that act circumvents the system. The blind spot that you actively have disappears. And it allows for magic intervention to happen. Okay, second thing I do is I will meditate. Now, most people are like, oh, God, because of movies, we think of meditation as an act of like levitating or something. It's like so difficult. It's actually simpler than you think. You're actually doing a form of it right now. Now, when I sit down to meditate, and I do it, just cross my legs, the same thing like you see in the movies, right? First word I say is, from the TV show Westworld, I say, analysis. I do. I say analysis. And what it does is it immediately, your perspective on yourself goes from here to out here. Some years ago told me that meditation is like watching a river flowing down and you sitting on the bank of the river watching it. And you're sitting up here watching it, just watching it flow down here. What it is your thoughts are the river. And your consciousness is sitting up on the bank of the river. No judgment, you're just watching it. Thoughts come in, they come out, it's no problem. And the act of meditation allows for your body to become a transmitter, to become a channeling system. So things can come through. It doesn't matter how long you do it. You could do it for 2 minutes, you could do it for 30 seconds. But the practice of doing that turns your body into a beacon, a homing device, so that you are connected to what the source, whatever it is, doesn't matter, you don't need to know. It allows your body to become a transmitter, to get the signal. That is where the magic happens. And the act of doing that, those are the practices that it takes to love yourself. You do them every day, just because every day when you're sleeping, the ego is working up its mashugana. And I call it like my tail grows back every morning. I have to go back and reset the machine, my human machine. These little tricks are very important. And for you young people, learn them sooner or later. Because, even when I didn't know why I was doing the things I did to recreate that storyline of the little boy who was left behind on the porch, I couldn't even be honest with myself at that time that I was getting off on that identity. I was getting a payoff. And we've all had friends who, they're going through something, and you offer a solution. You say, well, you can do this and do that. And they're not interested. They're saying, yeah, but so-and-so. And you step back and you realize, oh, you're getting off on this. You're not concerned with any solution at all. And that person becomes your teacher. You are not their teacher. They are your teacher. And the same way that you cannot point the tip of this finger with this finger, the way to override that is that we are not separate from each other. I can't touch my finger like this, but I can touch the tip of your finger like this, and we are the same. And I can see you, and I can learn from your storyline and go, oh, do I do that? And that is how you're able to see yourself with this eye, because we're not separate from one another. Our perception thinks we're separate from one another, but we're not. And I think last time I talked about the plane that takes off into the horizon. It looks like it's getting smaller and smaller from where you're standing. But is it getting smaller and smaller? No, it's not getting smaller and smaller. It's just from your perception. And the way that you override your machine, the way that you are able to sort of, for lack of a better, N-word rig your machine. Jerry-rig. The way you jerry-rig your human machine are these little tricks. They're not new. I did not come up with them. They are not new. Every person who's ever lived on this planet for a long time, who is successful, who is doing what you want to do, somehow they have learned how to circumvent those booby traps that we create for ourselves. And we all have them. We have the friends who don't want to move from where they were. In fact, this whole election, I mean, this is the best of times and the worst of times right now. This election, you know, when you look under the hood of it and see what it's really about and what happened, it's like the TV show Downton Abbey, where it's the changeover from the 20th century to the 21st century. And the people who don't want to move into the future forward and move on uptown like my World of Wonder friends, those people who you know, they took on this used car salesman who promised them that they could turn back the hands of time and bring it back to what it was. We ain't going back, baby. We're not going back. We're not. I mean, it's aside from being impossible, it's about learning how to do what you can to be of service to right now. You know, I don't know, I've said this on Twitter, how can you shop at Walmart and want all them Chinese jobs to come back here? All that stuff is made in China. So, now I equate that to what we're talking about now because, again, those people become your teacher. You are not their teacher. They are your teacher in terms of what not to do. The idea of being stuck. If I stayed in the mentality of that little boy who was left behind on the porch, I wouldn't be standing up here today. I couldn't do it because it was the blockage I'm talking about that kept me from moving forward and then more. You know, let the church say amen to that. Because that is the key. For you young people who have come to Drag Race, you feel the color and the love. Know that that same creativity can work against you if your saboteur gets a hold of it. It's very insidious. It's smarter than you are. That's why the meditation is important. Because a problem cannot be solved on the same conscious level it was created on. I'll say it one more time. A problem cannot be solved on the same conscious level that it was created on. So you need some intervention. And again, I'm not religious, but anytime, because you have free will, anytime you say the words, please help me, your angels will hear it, and they will come in and they will intervene. Because they can't do it unless you say it, because you have free will. And just like on T.J. Hooker, sometimes they will do a stakeout, and they need to get the prostitute to say, oh no, they need to get the John to say, I'm going to give you $20 for a BJ. Until he says there's a monetary transaction, you cannot arrest that John. You can't arrest him. He has to say the words, and the same is true for your angels. They are hovering around you right now. All you got to do is say, please, simple words, please help me. That's it. And so, you know, these little tricks to loving yourself, clearing out the blockage that keeps you from being an extension of the power that created the whole universe. That's what you are. You are an extension of the power that created the whole universe. The only thing keeping you from that is you playing small. We keep those stories in our head. You all have those hurt stories. What I'm asking you to do in order to love yourself is to pay attention to all the stories. Where are you holding on to those stories of the little boy sitting on the porch? Where are you doing that? And then ask yourself, why do I hold on to it? What do I get out of it? What does it allow me to do? What does it allow me to get away with? Then, once you're willing to really let that go, you can move forward. You know, one of the things that I used to be late. I would procrastinate. I'd be late places. and I would I would rush to wherever it is. And even before I left, I had plenty of time to get there. But I realized, after examining it, that I was addicted to the rush of trying to get there. I was addicted to that part of that story. So once I let go of that addiction, I will arrive somewhere 15 minutes early, just to let bitches know who the hell they dealing with. You know? I will arrive 15 minutes early, say, what's good? What is good? And so those are the kind of tricks. Now, I challenge each of you to do a diagnostic test on your human machine. Take an objective view of yourself and say, where are those places? And I just want to go back to the meditation for 1 second. Having an objective perception of yourself, perspective of yourself, to look at yourself. And this is what happens in my meditation. I'll sort of come back here on the bank, and I'll look at my whole life. There I am sitting on the porch, waiting for Irving, and then where that took me. And I could see, and there I am right now. And then I could have some ideas of where it could go and how I could get there. And that is the practice of loving yourself, of seeing yourself as God's gift to this earth, knowing that you being here is not an accident. You are here to experience life and humanity. And that is the joy of life. That is what loving yourself is. That is what this is all about. I need you guys to go out there and slay, and go inside there and slay those dragons. That's what this is all about. September 30th, October 1st, we are going to New York City for DragCon this year. This year. I love you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And thank you very much.